And I want to talk to one Jeff Koinange. It's not any other time that you see him in studio in the morning.
Especially this, yeah. I'm in another studio this time, normally. Normally.
Yeah. But on the other one, we hear you more than we see you, so
yes,
it still makes sense.
Absolutely.
All right, so you've been interacting with Bob Collymore for quite some time.
He's a good friend of mine.
When is the last time you were with him?
This past weekend, actually. On Saturday, I was having lunch with my mother and my sister. And I told them, listen, give me an hour. I have to go see Bob. So a group of us, there was about 5 of us, we had known this was coming. Bob had informed us. So we knew that he wasn't going to last very long. He had been told by his doctors not to make any long-term plans. In fact, he was told if he makes it past July, he'll be lucky.
This is it?
Yeah. So I have never seen anyone prepared for death like I did this man. So we went on Saturday afternoon around 3 o'clock and we hung out with him. He was in a bit of pain. His spine was giving him some problems. So he kept getting up and stretching his spine and then sitting back down. But I'm telling you, he kept saying, look, I've lived a good life. I have some regrets. It's not a perfect life. Nobody's perfect. But I'm ready now. I'm ready.
That was Saturday, 29?
Yeah, 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
And his spirits?
He was in great spirits. I mean, you know, we hung out for at least a couple of hours, huh? In fact, we were the ones who said, listen, Bob, you look like you're getting tired. We'll leave you. He didn't want us to leave. And he walked us to the door. He walked us to our cars outside. And we said, listen, Bob, we'll see you later on in the week. Okay, you let us know, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Let us know when we can come and see you again. He says, no problem. And we said our goodbyes. And we all went our ways. And we are in a WhatsApp group. You know, the rest of the guys were saying, guys, let's make it a point this week. Let's go see him.
Right.
And then this morning, I got a call from Patrick Kwaku. And he told me he was called at about 3 o'clock in the morning. And he rushed to the house to find that Bob had passed away. Right.
Of course, a sad situation for not just the Safaricom fraternity, but also the friends and people that knew him. Condolences to yourself as well. Thanks. So having interacted with him and knowing the kind of corporate leader that he is, it's not every other day that you are able to interact with the CEOs of the big corporates. What do you remember him of as a person?
Let me tell you the first time I met him. The very first benches that I used to do at K24 at Fairview Hotel. Of course, all those shows were pre-taped. We used to tape them around 11 o'clock in the morning. One of my regular guests who used to come a lot of the times was Michael Joseph. And he was great. Every time I'd call him, I'd say, hey, MJ, can we have an interview? And he'd come. One day he shows up and right behind him is this black, bold guy with a nice, crisp suit. And he had something in his ear, sort of like what you're wearing now, like a, you know, earpiece. And I said to myself, oh man, MJ has upped his security, yeah? You know, this guy looks foreign, and he's upped his security. What's up? So I told MJ, I said, hey man, what's up with the security, man? You know, what's going on? And he laughed at me, and he said what Michael Joseph usually says, something funny, and I didn't pay much attention. So as we walked to the bench now to do the interview, I told the waiter, listen, Patia security car, in my mind, right?
Yes.
So, we do the interview. MJ hasn't said a thing. We finish it. It all goes really well, and now we're walking back. The security has stood up now. They're about to leave. And Bob said, hey, Jeff, by the way, this is Bob Collymore. He works for our Vodacom office in South Africa. I said, oh, okay, so hi, how you doing? You know, and we're cool and all that. Weeks later, literally weeks later, they make the announcement MJ has resigned. He's done his 10 years, and his successor is about to be named. And the successor appeared on the screen.
Right.
It was that bodyguard.
Wow. So what was the earpiece about?
He was probably talking to someone on the phone. You know, it was probably, you know, one of these gadgets, the way he speaks to someone on the phone. But I told myself, you know what? You never know who you're going to meet. Treat people the same as you would treat anyone, because you never know. And that's where our relationship began.
Indeed.
That's where our relationship, and I've told this story so many times, and he laughs every time. He says, typical of you, you know, Kenyans. But you know, Bob had such a dry sense of humor, but he was such a human as well. You know, he would hang out with Giuliani in Korogosho and Umoja and Huruma. You know, he would just hang out in the streets. He was that kind of a guy. He could get along with everybody, you know, not just the ex COs or, you know, the presidents or the top, you know, top dogs. No, he was a regular kind of guy.
Right.
And we would meet often at his house or my house or you know, Peter Kenneth's or Bharat Thackeray's house. And we would, you know, we would all be guys, you know, we'd all be cool. He wasn't a CEO. He wasn't, you know, this guy who, you know, who runs the biggest company in Eastern Central Africa, biggest taxpayer and the biggest telco company in the region.
Indeed.
He was a regular kind of guy. And look, when you think of stepping into Michael Joseph's shoes, big, huge shoes to fill, Bob stepped in there and he says, this is Safaricom 2.0. And he made it that point. He says, I am no Michael Joseph. I will never be Michael Joseph, but I'm going to take this company to the next level. And
indeed he did.
That's what he did.
The other time we saw, what was it, 61 or 60 something billion shillings in terms of profit after tax.
Yearly.
You can imagine. So, of course, we'll shortly be looking at one of the clips that you had with him talking about health. But first, we look at the report or the statement from chairperson or chairman of the Raw Media Services, that is Dr. S.K. Macharia, says that the chairman of the Raw Media Services, Dr. S.K. Macharia, has termed the death of Safaricom CEO Bob Collymore as a moment of deep sorrow and a big blow to the country's business sector. Dr. Macharia described the late Collymore as an outstanding corporate leader who demonstrated commitment to transforming lives. The RMS chairman said the late Collymore inspired many through his commitment to a welfare-minded work ethic. And another statement coming from the managing director of the Raw Media Services, that is Wachira Waruru, has mourned the late Safaricom CEO Bob Collymore, saying Collymore will be remembered for his distinguished contribution to the Kenyan corporate sector. Waruru said the late Collymore was a visionary who served with dedication and leaves behind a rich legacy. Wachira described the late Collymore as a man of exceptional skills that immensely contributed to the strong business partnership forged between Safaricom and Raw Media Services. Waruru said Collymore lived a full and inspiring life and nurtured a large network of friends. And talking about that network and a full and inspiring life, you spoke to him on JKL, I believe. Yeah. Let's take a look at what that conversation was.
Sure. Well, asking, how are you feeling? How's your health right now?
I'm feeling pretty good. You know, the drugs help. The thing with cancer, everybody says, you know, you're beating cancer. You're saying, actually, what you learn to do is you learn to live with it. And I've just decided to make friends with it. So, yeah.
Are you friends?
Me and my doctor. My doctor, who I don't know whether she's listening or not, is the most fantastic person in the world, apart from my wife. And she's been doing a fantastic job. You know, so we're working through it, and I'm feeling fine.
And Jeff, of course, he was diagnosed, you say, 2 years ago.
2017, yeah.
And he was in stage 4 of cancer. And there are several cases of cancer that we have in this country. Yeah. People struggling to gain access to affordable healthcare, which is very elusive. But what lessons do we learn? Having worked with this gentleman and what he has gone through, what lessons do we learn in terms of taking care of patients suffering from this kind of situation?
Look, when you talk about Bob Collymore, he got the best of care. The best of care. He was in a room, in a bubble in the UK for like 7 weeks. Nobody could visit him. He was in this room and they sealed it off because it was bone marrow. The cancer was inside the bone marrow. So obviously very expensive. It was a new type of treatment he was getting called stem cell. So it was, you know, largely untested. But they were very confident when they were done with the surgery, and he came out. I mean, he was looking pretty good. He gained some weight. He was back to, you know, to good form, and then his blood started rejecting it. In fact, a few weeks ago, he had asked Wamboi, his wife, had asked a couple of us to donate our blood for platelets. You know, in the blood you have you have different kinds of things in your blood, but one of them is your white blood cells, red blood cells, and platelets, right? Platelets are the ones that help your blood to clot.
Sure.
So his blood was refusing to clot. So he would get a nosebleed out of the blue. If he pricked himself, the blood, you know, it will take a while to clot. Yeah. So he needed the platelets to help his blood clot. And you know, a couple of us donated our platelets for that. So when it comes to healthcare, I mean, first of all, you just thank God if you're in good health.
That's true.
You know, when people come to you and say, I'm looking for a work, I haven't worked in a year because I can't find a job, but they've got 2 legs, 2 feet, and they're in perfect health, I just don't get it. That makes no sense. Cancer is real, man. I mean, I don't know how many friends you've lost to cancer. I'm sure everybody in this room knows someone who has a friend who's died from cancer. It's not going to stop. Whether it's because of our lifestyle, whether it's because of our diet, or whatever it is that's triggering these cancer cells in all of us, which exist in all of us. Everyone has cancer cells in them. It's just what triggers them. We all have it. You just have to take care of yourself, huh? You just have to, and you know,
as much as you can.
Yeah, and it's not that easy to say, but you just have to take care of yourself, and thank God every day that you're in good health. That's it, man. And
manage your relations like he did.
Oh,
I get some update here from my producer, Patrick Patangani. You know him?
I do indeed, yes.
Yes.
What's he saying?
He said that acute myeloid leukemia, I hope I get that right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is a cancer of the myeloid line of blood cells, characterized by the rapid growth of abnormal cells that build up in the bone marrow and blood and interfere with normal blood cells. The symptoms may include feeling tired, shortness of breath, easy bruising and bleeding, and increased risk of infection. According to cancer.org, acute myeloid leukemia, AML, starts in the bone marrow, that is the soft inner part of certain bones where new blood cells are made. But most often it quickly moves into the blood as well. It can sometimes spread to other parts of the body, including the lymph nodes, liver, spleen, central nervous system, brain, and spinal cord. And
that's why I was telling you on Saturday, he kept feeling a lot of pain in his spinal cord. And, you know, he'd sit down for a while, feel uncomfortable, stand up, stretch a little bit. And you could see he was in pain.
Right.
You could see. And you know, once the cancer is in that bone marrow, it's a killer. It's a killer. And that's why he knew he wasn't going to last very long. He knew this treatment did not work for him.
Right.
But I'm telling you, man, he was ready for it. He prepared. He prepared himself. He prepared his family. And he prepared his close friends.
And how is he treating the extension of his term at the Safaricom Limited? Look,
he said, it's funny you should ask that, because they were actually in the process of naming a new CEO. They were going to do that because he did inform those in charge. He said, look, I'm not going to make that year you just gave me. That extension, I'm not going to make it. So you guys go and pick a successor.
Right.
And they had one. They're actually going to name one this week. I don't know if they'll delay it because of what's happened. But
planning for transition. Ken Lusaka, the Speaker of the Senate, says that it is with a deep sense of loss that I have this morning learned of the death of Safaricom CEO Bob Collymore. Bob's passion, dedication, and energy were the source of brilliant innovations that have enriched and improved our lives. We mourn his passing and bless his memory.
Absolutely.
He was in Kenya.
Yes.
But yet he's so Kenyan.
Very, very Kenyan, and wanted to retire and live in Kenya. He was ready to do that because he loved this place. And look, this man grew up poor. Huh? He grew up very poor in Guyana. Very people know, his origins are actually in Guyana. Guyana is best known in the 70s for an infamous preacher called Reverend Jim Jones, who persuaded his congregants to drink poison, and about 900 of them died. And that's how Guyana came on the map. But anyway, that's where he grew up. And then they moved to the UK with his mother, who was very young. And he completed high school and didn't go beyond that. And started off working as a clerk. And then worked his way, imagine, all the way from that to CEO of the biggest telco in Eastern Central Africa. So obviously, his work ethic is unquestionable. And the fact that he came from such humble roots. And he loved this country, man. He loved what Kenya was going through and what Kenya has become, and wanted to be a part of it post Safaricom.
Indeed, and quite a brief profile. Quite goes with what you're saying, that Bob Collymore was born in Guyana in 1958 and raised by his grandparents. Later he went to live with his mother in the UK at the age of 16. He worked for various companies in the telecommunications field before moving to Vodafone, where he held various positions. He was appointed Safaricom CEO in 2010, and in 2017 Bob traveled to the UK to receive treatment for acute myeloid leukemia, and he returned to Kenya in July 2018 to resume his duties as CEO of Safaricom home while undergoing treatment at various hospitals, and he died early this morning. We also have a tweet from the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi. If you can take a look at that and what he's saying on the passing of the Safaricom CEO. I have learned with great sadness the passing on of Safaricom CEO Bob Collymore. My heartfelt condolences to his family and friends. Bob leaves behind a rich legacy of revolutionizing the telco industry through Safaricom PLC and offering great leadership in Kenya's corporate sector. Final thoughts?
Bob, wherever you are, rest in peace, man. Rest in peace, my friend. He was close and good guy.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff Koinange.
Thank you.
Pole sana, as a friend of Bob, and all the best, even as the preparations for the interment and final send-off for the late Bob go on.